Welcome to part 32 of Basic Training. Today we're going to cover everything you need to know to play N64 Rainbow Road on 150cc. We're going to do something we haven't done since my Big Blue 200cc video and run with a more or less live reaction to my current personal best, albeit at a slowed down speed. That's because honestly there is not a lot happening in this course, and what little there is doesn't really require any replays or in-depth analysis, so let's dive right on in. For this course we're going to use Dry Bowser, Mach 8, Leaf Tires, and Paper Glider. This is a build that places a much higher emphasis on speed over mini turbo in comparison to our usual try-hard build, which is helpful because, once again, I cannot reiterate this enough, there is not a lot happening on this track. After getting the startup boost, we're going to alternate between going slightly left and slightly right to hit the first two boost pads and then trick off the glider ramp at the end. We don't want to land really quickly from this glider because the track has this long downward into upward slope stuff going on, and purposely gliding up a bit allows you to get straight to your destination more quickly. You want to clip the upper right edge of this little ring here and then land right past the blue anti-grav pad into a right drift. If you look up the track a bit, you'll see this train here and it drops coins onto the track. In going around this long right turn, you actually want to widen your drift angle a bit to make sure that you can grab these coins, because missing coins on this track is really painful. Speaking of painful, coins here is pretty much the only really annoying strat you're going to have to learn. Build up an ultra mini turbo around the long right turn and then drive straight toward this first coin. Even though the next two coins are in a horizontal line, if you approach them at kind of an angle, you can actually grab both of them at the same time. To get all the tricks that you can see me getting here, it's best to just shake the hell out of your controller instead of trying to time everything perfectly. With that, we're on to section 2. Once again, not a lot to talk about till the very end. You got more than enough time to build up a super mini turbo and an ultra mini turbo around this gigantic turn. And then in the long straightaway, once again shake the hell out of your controller to get as many tricks as possible, but make sure that you leave yourself enough time so that you can take the final right turn of that section really tightly. Around the last left turn of section 2 we're going to use our first mushroom, but we also want to build up an ultra mini turbo. The most optimal way to time all this out is to wait until just before you build up the super mini turbo and then mushroom. This will buy you enough time to build up the ultra mini turbo, which you then release as soon as the mushroom boost runs out to make sure that you spend as much time as possible at boost speed. Now on to section 3, as is par for the course, there's really not that much to talk about. We're going to build up a mini turbo around the right turn and follow it up with a super mini turbo around the second turn. Then we're going to start another right drift and do the same mushroom into ultra mini turbo strat that we did before. Once again making sure to release the ultra mini turbo as soon as the mushroom boost wears out. You're going to be aligned pretty far to the right, so do 2 left hops to get back on track. Around this next left turn we're going to build up 2 super mini turbos, and then on the last turn of the lap we're going to chain a mushroom into a super mini turbo off the glider, finishing up the run with some motion glider or just normal old glider vectoring if you're not comfortable with that yet. And that's it for the strats really. The world record is pretty much just a cleaner version of my run, so let's check it out while I talk a bit more about the track. My current personal best is about 2.2 seconds slower than the world record. There are 3 major sources of time loss here. The first is just bad lines. You'll notice that the world record is pretty much hanging off all the turns here, which is obviously going to be much faster, but also a bit riskier. By the end of section 1, I'm about 0.2 seconds behind record pace. It might not sound like much, but it cost me a ton of time in section 2, because I hit a much worse cycle with the wavy section than the world record does, and this causes me to take the turn at the end of it super wide. And in addition to being slower, it just causes me to take that last right turn really poorly. The last source of time loss is in the glider section due to a poorly executed motion glider. Unfortunately, I still haven't quite figured out how to do this yet, but I just couldn't bring myself to keep playing this track, which segues nicely into why I dislike it so much. If you couldn't have gathered from what I've said about the course so far, there's really just not that much to say about it other than that it's really boring and it's not fun to play. There's very little that actually happens in the first section, but playing it even slightly suboptimally more or less decimates your chances of getting a good section 2. Section 2 also doesn't have that much going on, with a grand total of 3 turns, one of which takes almost 10 full seconds to get through. Section 3 isn't so bad, but if you haven't learned the strats properly, it's pretty easy to fall off around a couple of the turns, especially the one where you use your second mushroom. And failures here are just so painful because they mean you have to play through the whole thing again. And that is everything you need to know to play N64 Rainbow Road on 150cc. Sorry to be so negative in this video, but if you watch my track ranking video, you should have seen it coming. There's a reason why I have this track so low. On a positive note, we officially have videos for all of the first 32 tracks in the game on 150cc, And there are a lot of fun courses that we still have to cover, so I hope that you're all looking forward to that. Before you leave, please don't forget to click the like button if this video helped you out, and also let me know down in the comments how you did on the track, because I'd really love to hear from you. Thank you all very much for taking the time out of your day to do some basic training, and as always, I will see you in the next one.